It is a great privilege and honor to bring up Dr. Moshe Avital, one of the 120,000 Jews that made it to Palestine.
Kvod Rabbanim, fellow survivors, dear friends, if the skies were made of parchment, if the trees of the forest were made into pencils, if all the oceans and streams were filled with ink, and every person on this planet would become a skilled scribe, the story of the Holocaust would still remain untold. On April 11th, 1945, 65 years today, I was liberated from Buchenwald. I would like to share with you some thoughts of a Holocaust survivor. It is about prejudice and evil, about the perils of silence, and about the inspiration and hope. It is my hope that you may be inspired by my experiences. It is my hope that you become aware of the choices you can make in your own lives. That in the future, when confronted with evil forces, you will act in order to make the world a more tolerant place, that the prevention of genocide and crimes against humanity can become a reality. In the morning of April 11, 1945, American soldiers from the 3rd Army, 6th Armored Division, entered Buchenwald. Now, we were free. I was very lucky, since I was so many times on the verge of death. Only through a miracle I survived. The day of my liberation in Buchenwald was the happiest and the saddest of my life. Now started the struggle to stay alive. I was very weak and ill. After 7 weeks in a makeshift hospital in Buchenwald, we were informed that the children of Buchenwald would leave the camp to go to a recuperation center in France. Unfortunately, the physical liberation from the camps did not end my suffering yet. We had lost our families, our homes, our countries, and we had no place to go to. We were liberated from fear of death, but we were afraid of life. At that time, I was a person without a birth certificate, without documents, without a country, because everything was confiscated from us by the Germans. 350 of us decided to join the Aliyah Bet, the illegal immigration movement, and were interested in leaving the cursed European continent and go to Israel. The Jewish organizations in France who took care of us in Écouis tried to discourage us from going to Israel. Some did stay in France. One night, in July of 1945, a convoy of British military vehicles driven by the Jewish Brigade soldiers arrived in Écouis. The leaders of the Aliyah Bet illegal immigration movement instructed us to take small packages with us and to board the trucks. The vehicles were covered with canvas so that the French and possibly the British agents would not discover what was going on. During the night, our convoy arrived in a hidden French small port. There we were loaded on a cargo vessel, which was converted into an illegal immigration ship. It was renamed Yaldei Buchenwald, the children of Buchenwald. On the ship, we found already more young teenagers from other camps. From France, we sailed to Italy, to a small hidden port where more young people were loaded on the ship. We ended up having 1,100 survivors on board. The ship was very crowded. During the daytime, we were not allowed to be on the deck of the ship because British Navy ships cruised the Mediterranean Sea, and British reconnaissance planes made sure that Jewish refugee ships did not sneak into the land of Israel. Only during the evenings were we allowed to go up the deck for fresh air. This was done in shifts because there were 1,100 of us. Food and water was rationed because the ship could not hold much cargo weight, in addition to so many passengers. Also, the leaders of the ship did not know how long the journey might take. The leaders instructed us what to do if we were caught by the British Navy. We had a few drills and we learned some defense tactics. The trip lasted 10 days. It seemed much longer due to the conditions on the ship and the tension we felt. But we all accepted it with understanding because every day brought us closer to the land of our fathers, where we would realize our hopes and dreams. I was especially looking forward to seeing my brother Shmuel Tzvi and his family. I had not seen my brother since he had left for Israel in 1937. At that time, I was only 8 years old, and now I was 16. A lot had happened since then, and I was waiting impatiently for the moment of our reunion. As our ship was nearing the coast of Palestine, 4 British Navy ships intercepted our boat. Through loudspeakers, they ordered our ship to proceed to Haifa under their guard. We raised a banner which stated, "We survived Hitler, we will survive the British." Our captain instructed us to keep calm and not engage the British. Our leadership knew that they cannot fight the mighty British Navy. They also knew that they had 1,100 precious youngsters who miraculously survived the Holocaust. They wanted to make sure that these orphans arrive in Israel unharmed. Upon arrival in Haifa, British soldiers and police boarded the ship and forcefully removed us into military trucks. Under heavy military escort, our convoy proceeded to the detention camp of Atlit near Haifa. On the one hand, we were happy that our long journey had come to an end, but we were finally in the land of our fathers. But on the other hand, we were worried because no one knew what the British had planned for us. So once again, I ended up in a camp, not as bad as a concentration camp, but still a camp and a prisoner. The camp at Atlit was surrounded by barbed wire and watchtowers which guarded the camp. The Jewish Agency for Palestine personnel had access to the camp. They came and interviewed us to find out who we were and if we had relatives in Palestine. With this information, Kol Yisrael, the Jewish broadcasting station, announced who the illegal immigrants were and for whom they were looking. One person from my hometown, Bilka, heard the announcement on the radio that Moshe Lipschitz was one of the passengers on the ship. He informed my brother that his youngest brother, Moshe, had arrived on the ship Yaldei Buchenwald, the children of Buchenwald, and that he is detained in Atlit. The next day, while I was in the barrack, someone came in and asked, "Who is Moshe Lipschitz?" That was my previous last name. I said, "I am." He said, "Your brother is waiting for you at the gate." The British did not allow visits in Atlit. I rushed to the gate. I recognized my brother right away because he was 18 years old when he left home. He had not changed much, and he had also sent pictures from Palestine before the war. My brother did not recognize me because I had changed so much. When he left home, I was 8 years old, and now I was 16 years and different. I look very different. It was also hard for him to believe that the youngest brother, Moshe, the child he had left, could have survived the Holocaust. My brother asked me all kinds of questions about our family to make sure I was really his brother. Only after a thorough quiz did he come to the conclusion that I was really his youngest brother. This reunion, as you can imagine, was very emotional. Both of us cried. He wanted to know what happened to our parents, brothers, sisters, the extended family, and the Jews of our town, Bilka. My brother assured me that he would do everything possible to free me from Atlit camp. The Jewish Agency negotiated with the British about our release, but they had their policy of the white paper, which did not allow Jewish immigration to Palestine. After a few weeks in Atlit, one night, we were awakened by people whom we had never seen before. These were Haganah members of the Jewish underground. They had successfully overtaken the camp by tying up the guards. They led us out of the camp through a hole they cut in the barbed wire. We walked behind a mountain where trucks were waiting for us. The Haganah rescued distributors in various kibbutzim